We just had our technical glitch. Ah, there we go. So, in order to do this, I need to take you back to the 1960s. For the first time, there was a television set in every single home, and the food industry could market to us 24/7. And it was audio and it was visual, so it was incredibly powerful. At the same time, we started watching things like cooking shows, where we'd been eating meat, potato, and a little bit of vegetable. All of a sudden now we were made to feel like we needed to create meals that had 15 ingredients and took 3 hours to make. So life got more complicated. And right around then, women went into the workforce. So now there's no one at home to prepare these elaborate meals. So the food industry came to our rescue, or so they said. They said, we're going to fix you these processed foods that come in boxes and come in cans, and we're going to make them inexpensive and they'll sit on your shelf for a long time. And they'll be nutritious. Wow. Or so we thought. This is an actual ad from the 1950s. For a better start in life, start Coca-Cola earlier. How soon is too soon is the question. Not soon enough. Laboratory tests, if you can believe that, probably done by the Coca-Cola company. Laboratory tests over the last few years have proven that babies who start drinking soda during their early formative years have a much higher chance of being accepted, finding friends, getting through the awkward stage, and being happier. So do yourself a favor, Mom, is what it's saying, and do your baby a favor and start them on Coke early. This doesn't sound like they're on our side. And life hasn't changed much, really. As we get smarter, they get a little smarter. This was done by the Soda Pop Board of America, by the way. So over the last 60 years, our food has changed dramatically. It's happened so slowly that we're like the frog who's been simmering in the pot of water and doesn't know enough to get out. We have our umbrella and the cocktail or whatever we're having, our Big Mac, and think we're having a good time. But are we really having a good time at it? Advertisers are brilliant. When they market us, they market to our emotions and our heart. And it overrides our intellect. Just like that 1950s mom who gave her child cola, or her baby cola. You had to know there's caffeine and sugar in there, right? But the message in that ad was, be a good mom and do this. And that gets you here. And that's how they get us. In this ad, you can see people having a good time over pizza, right? All ads have family, fun, good times, happy life, and give us the impression that we need to eat this way to have a good time. You don't see any pictures of people eating apples, having a good time. For one thing, there's nobody to fund all that. Nobody cares. But the truth is people who eat healthy are having a real good time. The advertisers anchor good feelings to eating unhealthy foods. And they're still doing that. So really, what's wrong with processed food? Processing destroys nutrients. An example is heat. Whenever you eat something in a package, it's like watered down nutrients. It also affects the digestive system because you have to add chemicals. You have to preserve it. The chemicals over time have an effect on the gut lining. The cells in the digestive tract are just like on my skin. It's just a tube on the inside. If you constantly expose my hand to chemicals, my skin's going to get irritated. And that's what's been happening. We also have too much sugar. The big thing about sugar is that when we eat a lot of it, it eats up B vitamins. We need B vitamins to be happy. If you don't have B vitamins, you're going to be depressed. So it's very important that we don't have processed sugar in our diet. A compromised gut lining does not produce neurotransmitters. These are so important to our brain. Things like serotonin and GABA. Serotonin is what keeps us from being depressed. GABA is what keeps us from having anxiety. And if you don't have any GABA, your stress response isn't going to be very good. And the digestive tract is where a lot of these things are made. So we need a healthy digestive tract. This is a big one for young people. A lot of kids are eating these or drinking these energy drinks, and they're drinking a lot of coffee. Energy drinks are a blast of caffeine and an absolute blast of sugar. The purpose of them is they really are a drug. It gets you up, way up here, right? You feel energized and almost high. But the problem is that you have to come down. And if you do this often enough, the down becomes more, and then it becomes harder and harder to come up. So this is a way that can move someone who may be struggling in life to search for something else, even more damaging to the system than this. These are so important to look at. So what do? Whole foods, plant-based diet. Our culture is utterly confused about how to eat. We need to eat whole foods. We need to eat things like apples. We can eat meat if we want to. We want to eat vegetables, but we want to eat things in the whole state before it's been processed down. And we can do this one step at a time. We can change one meal a day and decide, I'm going to make one meal absolutely phenomenal and begin with that. We can start changing out our snacks. We can stop running to McDonald's and bring some nuts and some fruit with us when we travel. And as parents, it's so important that we lead by example. It's so difficult to talk to your children about eating healthy when we're not eating healthy. For one thing, you won't have the sincerity, right? We want to believe what it is we're saying. When I was 13 years old, both of my parents were smokers. When I wanted a snack, my mom would say, go eat an apple, but I never saw my mother eating an apple. There was always a couple of apples lying around, so I didn't eat apples. What I did do, though, at 13 years old, when my mother left the room, I picked up a cigarette out of the ashtray and put it in my mouth. Because children learn by example. Challenge food concepts. The food industry wants us to believe that it's too difficult to prepare a meal. And actually, it takes just as much time to fix a piece of chicken and some vegetable as it does to go to McDonald's, hit the drive-thru, sit in the line, do all that, drive home. You could have something prepared. When you're traveling, there's a little Starbucks packet in there, and that's got the banana and the nuts, and some fruit and some whole grain bread. These are better choices, definitely, than the McDonald's choice, which I don't even consider to be food at all. On the top there, those are my two favorite fast foods. When I'm tired at night, I get home and I don't want to fix anything, I eat a nut butter sandwich. Or I scramble up some eggs and I keep it simple. The concept that meals can be very simple. That way they're much easier. In terms of emotional well-being, it definitely matters what we eat. The brain actually is responsible for using 25% of the nutrients that we ingest. We want our young people to be healthy and happy. We want them to be able to handle stress and deal with the difficulties in the adolescent and the teen years that are so challenging on their own. So we want to feed them good nutrients during this time. We also build emotional well-being one synapse at a time. We have cells in our brain. We have them when we're born. We just don't have a lot of connections. As we start learning things in life, we start forming connections between these cells. We go on through life and have more and more of these connections. If you're someone who's had a challenging beginning, you may have formed a lot of connections for perhaps depression or anxiety. You may have formed connections that don't help you deal with stress very well. These connections in areas of the brain become more dominant, and then it's harder to be happy. So what we want to do is retrain the brain. There's 3 things that I find incredibly helpful. Works well with young people once they understand how to do it. They can do these 3 any place, anytime, and they're free. And they have absolutely no side effects. The first is breath. When we get oxygen in, we feel better. The brain needs oxygen. When we relax the body, we relax the mind. And when we relax the mind, we actually relax the body. It's a two-way street. And we can practice happiness. So I'd like to invite you now, all of you, to close your eyes for a couple of minutes. Just close your eyes with me. I'd like you to take a nice breath in through the nose, and then exhale slowly through the mouth. And take another breath in, slowing the breath down. And exhale a little bit longer this time. And on your next exhalation, I'd like you to intentionally come into the room, take your mind away from the stresses of the day, from the traffic, the things you have waiting at home, the worries you have. Be here and be present in this moment. And on your next exhalation, I'd like you to just let your shoulders go. Let them drop a little bit. Then let that relaxation spread down into your arms. Let the arms get heavy in your lap or on the table or in the chair. Let your hands just open, relaxed. And then let that relaxation on your next exhalation go down into the small of the back. Let go in the lumbar area. Letting your body settle into the chair you're in. Feeling the weight of the chair just supporting you. Letting go on each breath. And allowing that to travel down through your thighs, down to your feet. Scrunch your toes. And then let them go. Feeling connected to the floor. And on your next exhalation, I'd like you to think of a time or a place or a moment in your life when you felt happy, contented, peaceful. Choose one. If that's difficult for you, you can just say a phrase, may I be peaceful. May I be happy. And as you think of that thought or that phrase, you'll notice the feeling that coincides with it. You'll feel that in your solar plexus, or in your heart area. And allow your attention to come to the feeling itself. Allow yourself to be with that feeling. If you struggle with this, think of a puppy or a baby. Everyone smiles when they think of a puppy or a baby. And in just a moment, you're going to become distracted. Your mind will wander. And when it does, you very gently just relax a little bit. And then bring your attention back to the thought or the phrase that brought you the feeling. Allow that feeling to permeate your body. You can even relax your facial muscles. Have what I call a little Mona Lisa smile. It boosts your neurotransmitters. And now on your next exhalation, I'd like you to just send that feeling out a little bit, out into the person next to you, sending them well wishes, sending it out into the room. And when you're ready, just open your eyes. Meditation is putting your mind on an object. It can be breath, it can be prayer, and that was meditation with a good feeling. Meditation isn't forcing the mind to be silent. Minds will not be silent. Meditation is noticing when the mind wanders, and then very gently bringing it back. And we practice this. I can do this in the grocery line. I'm having a stressful day and things are difficult. It's so easy to just say, you know what, breathe. Yeah, breathe. Let the shoulders go. And send out a good feeling. Bring the good feeling up. And as you practice this over and over, it becomes easier because you're building those connections in the brain, and they will become the dominant connections. They'll run the show. It can be done anywhere, anytime, any place. The only thing we need to know is how to do it, and then to remember to do it. And these are things we can talk to our young people about to help create happiness, one synapse at a time. Thank you very much. I appreciate you all coming out tonight.